Hey guys, welcome back for another day in Linda's Resin Room with Linda. What I'm going to do today is called a majesty flower. I was on YouTube watching some videos and I seen a girl by the name of Amanda from Crafting Kindness. This is her recipe and she posted this online, so I'm going to take that as it's okay to share. This is the large ice mold. Might be the rock mold. I don't really remember which one's which. From Pouring Your Heart Out. I think they look so similar. And it holds about 220 gram of resin. But I've mixed up 200 gram of resin. Use a low viscosity resin. So I'm using the craft resin. This is a low viscosity resin. Even though when I was mixing it up, it didn't feel low viscosity. And it's 75.6 degrees in here Fahrenheit. So I would have thought it would have been a little thinner. But anyways, I'm going to use 32 gram for white. I don't have the same resin she used. I don't remember what resin she used, but it was a low viscosity. She did 8 drops of bloom. So let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She mixed all of hers up at the same time, and she did the white first. So that's why I'm going to do the white first. I'm just going to give this a good little mix. And she also used the white in a piping bag. So I'm going to, got a cup with a piping bag in it that I'm going to use. I don't want my white to be streaky. You know, scrape your sides. It sticks everywhere. This is a great paste. There's a lot of things you can use it for. And the bloom paste is from Pouring Your Heart Out also. I got it from her Amazon store. You can get it from her Amazon store or her eBay store. Okay, 32 gram of white. Put it in my little cup for my piping for later. And I know she used just about all of this white when she did her flower. Because you think 32 grams of white is kind of a lot, but she used every bit of this almost. She didn't have very much left. So you definitely want to mix up all of it. Okay. Wipe my stick off. Here's my white. Just going to set him to the side. Then I have 40 gram that I'm not using the same colors. She did use the Octopus resin fluids. I'm using the mystery blue. And she did about 10 drops, but she used a different color. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll start with the 9. If I need that extra one, I'll add it. She did put a little black in hers to darken it up. But this is a pretty dark color, so I'm not going to add any black. I think it's going to be plenty dark on its own. And I may have added too much. You know how these resin inks do, they seep into the cup. So I just want to make sure I get all of that mixed in good. You want it well incorporated. And it always looks darker in your cup because it's deeper. You can see it's pretty dark, but it's still translucent. And I don't know if it's going to turn out, but I do want to give it a shot. Alright, then I have 40 grams in a second cup that I'm going to use evergreen. And she only used 3 drops of the one she did. She did peacock for the first, and she used 10 drops of peacock and one, just a little tiny bit of black. She used cherry, and she did 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. But I'm using evergreen. And this may end up being too dark, but I hope not. Yeah. And hers was really light, this color. So you had a dark and a light. Mix that up. Isn't that a pretty color? Scrape it off the sides, make sure it's incorporated good. Okay, and then 25 grams, she put mica in it. I don't have the mica she had. I'm going to use this Green Dragon from Archery Creations just because I love the color. Problem is it's a little dark, and she didn't want this dark. She did it very translucent, so I'm not going to put very much at all. It still might be too much. I want to start out slow. Okay. That's all I'm putting in there. And like I said, this may be too much because this is a pretty dark color. Get that off the sides. Mica is so hard sometimes to get to incorporate. Oh, I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's very translucent. Good. So, like I said, just a little tiny bit. And then she used an even smaller amount of interference powder, and I'm going to use the interference green since this has like a green tint to it. And same thing. Well, I've never used this one. I have a couple of these from, this is from Let's Resin. Interference green. I have a couple of them from them, so I just grabbed the one that wasn't open yet. Does anybody else hate opening these things, getting that foil off? It's like really difficult. There we go. And like I said, just a little tiny bit. Come on. Yeah. And that's going to be it. That's resin interference powder, the green. Get this mixed up really well. Okay, now what she did first is she took her dark, just start giving it another stir, and she only used half of this and went around and poured it on the edge of the mold and let it drain down. She didn't want it to close. Okay. And then she took half of her light color and poured it in the center. And she let those close. And then, come on, just a little bit slow. She took the rest of her dark, almost, come on. And she poured it back around the edges. Same way before. I was going to mix up 220 grams for this mold, but I forgot and only mixed up 200. I did, even though this resin is a 1-to-1 by volume, I did it by weight. I did 105 of part A and 95 of part B. And I've never had any issues with it curing doing it that way. Alrighty. That's all of the blue. Now, she took the green and she finished pouring it in the center. So we're just going to put all of this in there. I'm hoping this turns out because it was such a pretty technique. Her flower was gorgeous and so unique and different with the different petals. And she didn't get in a hurry with pouring or trying to rush and do it. She took her time. Some of that's not mixed up good, the color. Do you see it? Okay. Clean this stick off. Now, do you see where these two colors are mixing? She took her mica powder and poured it all around where those two colors are mixing. So, I think my table's just slightly tilted down just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can, I'll probably screw it up, but I'm going to see if I can get this table to tilt up just a little bit. Okay, where'd I set it? Lost my color. I found him. Okay, now she took all of this and right where the two colors are mixing, she just poured this around. And she did use it all. Just going to get all of that out of there. And I'm going to scrape this one too. Okay, now it's time for the white. Clean that stick off. Get my piping bag here. I did cut, this is just a small piping bag, and I did cut some of it off because it's just too long. Now, let's snip off the end of this. And what she did is she went around the edge and she just swirled all the way, little swirls. And she did this until she went all the way to the center. You know, I believe this might be the rock edge mold. I think the ice edge is a little more, you want those to touch. A little more slanted maybe. And she did this pretty thin. She didn't do it really thick. Okay. Now, she let it sit for 10 minutes. Put your white to the side because you're going to need that again. You can see it's starting to move. So I'm just going to put you guys on hold and I'll see you back in 10 minutes. Hey guys, so I think I forgot to do I was supposed to do this twice. I think I may have wrote it down wrong in my notes because I have a lot of white left. So it's been 5 minutes and I'm just going to go around again and do the same thing. Just the little loops. Trying to let it touch the edge of the mold. I may have messed it up from doing this, but I hope not. So I'm pretty sure she did this twice. Okay, now I'm going to let it sit. I'll probably just let it sit for 5 minutes and then we'll be back. Okay guys, so it's been another 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my white again. I don't lose it and throw it everywhere. I'm going to rewound this up a little. This is the part I hate. Trying to rewind this, get that down in there without shooting it out the end. Anybody else have that problem? Or is it just me? Wipes it off. Okay, now what she did is, you see these negative spots in between there? She went around loops again, around the edge only, between those areas that don't have any resin in them. And she didn't want to overlap the others. And if she had to skip some because there was too much, she skipped it. My loops aren't so hot, are they? Alright guys, now you can tell just a little tiny bit of white left. Throw that to the side. The rest of that clear you had left, this should be 63 gram, and I can feel it warming up. What she did is she very slowly poured it in the center. She didn't want to push the pattern back very far, and I may have pushed it back too much. I may have started out too fast. See a lot of little bubbles creating in there, and I did torch this a couple of times during that 10 minutes. She didn't torch hers, but I did torch mine. And I just want to get all of this in there because, like I said, this mold's just a little bit bigger than the one she used. So I have the space to put all of this. Just going to scrape this out. I hope this turns out. I would love for you guys to see her flower she created and be able to do this yourself. So it's such a pretty flower. She didn't do a center. She didn't swirl. She just left it alone. I'm going to let those bubbles pop up to the top and pop them with the torch. Get this stick cleaned off. Don't get too close to your edge. I'm hoping those bubbles will pop out of there. She had a really cute design in the center. I don't want this to, and like I said, it's warming up, even though it is supposed to be a low viscosity resin. To me, it doesn't feel like a low viscosity. It was kind of like thick. To me, it was thicker than the Let's Resin 1-to-1. Alright guys, I'm going to leave this alone, let it cure, and we'll be back for the demold. Hey guys, so this is fully cured. It is still a little soft, but I think we can demold it. You can tell it cured really fast. I don't even remember what kind of resin I used for this. I know it got hot really quick, so you can see it's not really moved a whole lot. So, and I can see through the center. So I really don't think this worked. But let's see what kind of effect we got. And like I said, you can see how soft those edges are, but it does pull away really easy from the mold. And that is what it looks like. I wished I had put a centerpiece in there now, because the center would have made that piece really pretty, which I like it. It's definitely different. But I will try a different resin, and we will try the Majesty flower again. Alrighty guys, I'll see you for the next video.